Good morning. Hi, everyone. I'm using my headphones today in case you're just wondering what the heck is going on, just to hope that we might get a little bit better sound quality. So, with that being said, please turn on your volume. Please turn on your volume. Turn up your volume. Hi, everyone. I'm Eileen Johnson. In case you've never seen me before, I am a career strategist to high achieving badass women who are looking to upgrade their careers so they can elevate their lives. So today I'm going to be talking about the 3 things you need to do to increase your visibility, land interviews, and upgrade your career. So before we jump into the content, I always like to check in and see if you've ever been on here before, if you've ever joined me. So please let me know in the comments, is this your first time joining me and where you're joining me from? I always like to hear from you guys. Okay, so let's review what we've talked about so far this week. We've been talking about the real reason you aren't getting called for interviews, even though you've applied for 5, 10, maybe even 20 jobs a week, even though you are a great candidate, even though you've updated your resume, and maybe even you because you paid somebody to update your resume. But with all of that you're investing in it, maybe you've invested in some education, training, certifications, things like that. But despite all of that, you're still hearing crickets, nothing. And this has left you asking, what the heck is the deal, right? So what's bad about this situation isn't just that you aren't getting calls for interviews, but what really sucks about it is that it's taking a major toll on your confidence and a hit on your mojo. And it might even be starting to cause you to question your value. Is any of this sounding familiar to you? Okay, so here's the deal. The real problem isn't about your resume or your education. The problem is that you are so focused on you that you've forgotten that this whole process is really about. It's about the employer. So everything in this process is about the employer. And the problem is that you're so wrapped up in making yourself look and feel good through your lens and your perspective that you fail to make sure that you look awesome through the eyes of an employer. That is the real problem. Does that make sense? Is everyone with me so far? Okay, great. So now today what I'm going to be sharing with you are the top 3 things you need to do to increase your visibility and land interviews so that you can upgrade your career. Sound like something you'd like to do? All right, so let me know in the comments if you're interested in hearing more about this. All right, so if this is of interest to you, then you're in the right place. Now let's look at the first thing that you need to do. So number 1, you need to identify what the company's needs are. Now, this might sound really obvious, but you'd be surprised how many candidates fail to get clear on what the company actually needs. So the best way to identify the company's needs is to look at the job posting. The job posting provides a wealth of information if you know how to read them, and then if you know how to use that information to your advantage. The information that you're going to be looking for comes from sections like the about the position, I almost said about me, about the position, the duties, the requirements sections of the posting. And so those titles of those sections may vary a little bit, but they're going to be something along those lines. And so those sections have a wealth of information that's going to spell out for you exactly what the company needs, or at least what they think that they need. And the idea being is what they think they need in order to achieve the goals set out for the person filling that role. So your job in reading the description is to identify what is most important to the company, and then identify where your background or your experience match up with those needs. Now, when I say that it's important to identify where you match up with it, it's also equally, if not more important, to also identify where your background and experience doesn't match up. And the reason that I mentioned this, that this is so important, is because you want to be sure that you are addressing where there are gaps and showing how you are filling those gaps or how your background actually does fill those gaps. Because sometimes what happens is you don't actually have a gap because your experience can fill it. But the key here is that you need to show employers, or you need to connect the dots for employers and show them how your background actually does fill that gap so that they don't trash your application. Is this making sense? Let me know in the comments box. So In case you're just joining me, I'm talking today about the 3 things you need to do to get companies to pay attention to you so you can land interviews, get job offers, and transform your career. So I just shared the first thing that you need to do, which is to identify the company's needs. Now let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is to dig a little deeper and go beyond what the company says they need and identify the deeper need. So you might be asking, what the heck is a deeper need? So let me explain what I mean. You would not hire me to write your resume for you. You'd hire me because you want a new job opportunity. I'm gonna let that sink in for a second. You also wouldn't decide to hire me and work with me because you want a plan for landing your dream job. You'd hire me because you want the dream job. Does that make sense? In other words, what you really want is the result the resume is going to help you achieve, or the result that you are going to get from working with me. Do you see that? It's the result that you're looking for. Okay, so the same thing goes for employers. They don't want the chief marketing officer. They want the results a chief marketing officer is going to be able to deliver. So maybe for one company, that's new leads. Maybe for another company, it's customer retention. Maybe for another company, it's an expansion into a new market. So whatever it is, they are not actually looking for a CMO. What they are looking for is what the CMO can help them achieve, the results the CMO can deliver. So your job is to figure out the reason a company is hiring for a position. What problems or challenges is the person filling that role going to be in charge of achieving? So now once you've done these first 2 pieces, you can move on to the third one. And this is the piece that will blow everything up for you. And it's the piece actually that most people completely miss the boat on. So in case you're just joining me, let me quickly recap what we're talking about today and what I've already covered. So today I'm talking about the 3 things you need to do to get companies to pay attention to you so that you can land those interviews, get job offers, and transform your career. So I just shared the first 2 things you need to do. Number 1, you need to identify the company's needs. Number 2, you need to identify the result the company is looking to achieve by hiring someone for that position. And now, on to number 3. Number 3 is to only speak to those needs and results and to speak directly to those needs and results that an employer is looking for. So remember yesterday when I talked about how employers didn't want you to be that Jane of all trades, but rather that they want you to be a master of what they need help with? Remember that? Well, here it is. It's all coming together now. The key here is that you want to speak to the employer's needs and only those needs. That means that you need to review your application materials with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that anything that you're including has a purpose. And not a purpose to make you feel good. Rather, the purpose that you need to focus on is connecting the dots for employers so they see precisely why you are perfect for this role. How do you bring your skills and experience to the table that will fit their needs? Is this making sense? Are you kind of picking up what I'm putting down here? Okay, so in my example from yesterday, if you're good at writing like grant proposals or running employee trainings and developing strategic sales plans, but what the company really needs is someone with strategic planning skills, then I would leave all that other stuff off the table and only highlight your background, education, experience, things like that, as it relates to the strategic planning. Okay, so I always say a good tactic to ask yourself is, so what? What would they care about this information or my background? Does it position me more strongly for the opportunity I want? Now, if you answer no to any of those questions, then leave it off. Does that make sense? Sorry, I have a little person. Okay, Tate, I need you to step out of the room. Please. Okay, I'll be with you. Oh, man. This is life with children, real life. So Tate, I'll be with you in 1 minute. Thank you. So remember, thanks for the laughs out there. This is not about you feeling good about yourself. This is about you showing employers why your background, your education, your expertise is a perfect fit for what they're looking to achieve. The results that they want from the position that they're hiring for. Does that make sense? So let's do a final review. The 3 things you need to do in order to get an employer to sit up and take notice of you is, number 1, you need to identify the company's needs. I want you to pull out that job description and study it so that you know exactly what it is they believe they need. Number 2, you need to identify what the company hopes to achieve by hiring a person into this position. What results are they looking for? And number 3, you need to only speak to the needs and the desired results the company is seeking, and then highlight how your experience and background would help them achieve those results. You got it? Check, check, and check. So I know that if you start putting all 3 of these pieces together, you're going to find that the crickets that you were hearing before have now turned into your cell phone ringing off the hook with invitations to bring you in for an interview. Yay! Okay, so I'd love to hear from you. Do you have any questions about what I've shared with you this week? Type them in the comments boxes. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're watching this on replay, feel free to type those comments in, as I will come back and answer those questions as well. So I want to thank you for joining me today and for joining me throughout this week. So now that you've been through this with me this week, if you found this information to be helpful and you want to get notified of my upcoming Facebook Lives, or if you want to get the replays of these videos, I'm going to be putting a link into the chat box right now. Here we go. Oops, let's see if I can get it to work. And just click on that, and you're going to have the option to opt in to be notified when I go live, so you can join me live and you can ask your questions and interact with me live, or you can also be getting the replays so that you don't miss anything in the coming weeks. So I am Eileen Johnson with Eileen Johnson Coaching, where I help corporate women transform their careers so they can elevate their lives. I hope you have a great rest of your day and your week. Go forth and be a badass. Thanks, guys. Bye.